Hi, my name is Laura, and today I will be arguing that ethics training and education will not reduce corporate collapses globally in the future. Business people respond to economic and legal incentives, not to ethical sentiments, which means that teaching ethics will have little or no effect. It's the personality of key individuals in an organisation, such as the CEO and board members, that influence corporate culture and the potential for corruption within the organisation. Some critics of ethics education contend that a person's ethical framework is fixed and it can't be modified by ethics education being offered at a stage in their life where personal values have already been established. It's their belief that moral character is formed in early childhood, not during ethics training. The question of whether ethics training and education would have made a difference to the AWB corporate collapse. No, I don't believe that it would have. They had a set of ethical guidelines that prohibited the payment of bribes, and this was ignored by senior employees. The company's culture was one of maximising returns to growers, and at the end of the day, that was the only incentive that mattered. Ethical procedures or guidelines didn't come into account. It was all about the profits in the end. In this case, it was the employees' personal values that made the decision to partake in bribery, knowing that it was against moral values. They have codes of conduct and codes of ethics, and these were ignored in place of greed and financial incentives. Even without formal ethics education, organisations do have codes of conduct and codes of ethics these days that govern and educate on accepted behaviour, and this did not prevent the corporate collapse of AWB and other organisations. So how would further education? In the 70s, ethics was not part of university degrees. It is today, and we've not seen a reduction in Australian corporate collapses. So this proves that education does not have an effect on preventing these corporate collapses and preventing fraud and corruption in corporate culture. Many corporate frauds, scandals and collapses have been USA and Australian based, and these are advanced nations who are assumed to have sound ethical principles or more ethical or behave more ethically than countries who are, say, poverty stricken or have cultures that accept bribery, such as Iraq. We're not poverty stricken in Australia, and we do have the access to ethics training that other countries might not, yet the evidence doesn't suggest that this training has worked. See the global financial crisis in the US, for example, where the cause was not failure in regulation but of ethics, and this was in a country with wide access to education on ethics in their academic degrees. If we only saw greed and corporate collapses in countries that were renowned for corruption, like China and Iraq, then you could say that it was directly linked to lack of education. But we have education in Australia and the US, and this is where the majority of collapses occur. We are just as vulnerable to collapses due to corruption, greed and fraud, and this is regardless of education and training on ethics. It's my belief, and this is backed up by the evidence I've already spoken about, that education and training does not prevent corporate collapses. They are a result of personality traits and moral values that occur in all cultures and are developed at a young age. These often lead to decisions that are based on self-interest of employees and greed these are huge contributors to corporate collapses. Education has had no effect on fixing this so far, so I don't believe that it will globally in the future. Thank you.